What changes did you make to the course this year from last year? I've seen the containers, but what else?
So the top section we changed. Right out the gate, you come out of a turn.
Yep.
And then you're into these crazy steps that are all different. It's really hard to ride. I've really struggled to ride down them, if I'm honest, with my hand.
Yeah.
It was like not the perfect thing to do 8 weeks after breaking my hand and my arm. But like it all worked, so it was good. But I was pretty nervous actually about all of that. And the top steps were the worst thing
just
for it.
Irregular.
Really irregular, really steep, really fast. You have to be strong.
Okay.
And then we built a lily pad, which is like even worse for if you can't hold
Is
onto
that
your
new?
bar. Yeah,
The lily pad was new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, previously it was like a step down over the road and straight back into steps. And we wanted to to speed up that top section, make a lily pad, and it worked super good. It was fucking cool. Yeah.
Okay. I guess the issue with that could be, how do you figure out the speed knowing for a lily pad? Because people could have gone too far and missed it, or...
Yeah. So I guess that's why it's good, because I have to ride it. I have to stand by what distances we have. So that's why it's good having people build something that actually ride it. So if you think about it, I'm just building it for me to ride. Yeah. And then it'll be a good racetrack if I can ride it. So obviously if I didn't make it, we would change it. Okay. But I made it. It was all good.
We're all good.
Yeah. So it was like 8 seconds to the first turn. It was insane how quick it was. Like, it's a long section and you just drop.
Yeah. 8 seconds.
Well, for me, in the clip, we watched it and we were like probably 6 for fast boys. But
wow. There was like a right-hander which had some like dirt as well. It's like a, you know what I mean? It was
that's much further down. Yeah.
That's much further down.
So course-wise, changes-wise, yeah?
Yeah, let's go down the course.
So the lily pad was the first change. Yeah. Then the left-hander, I think we made really good this year. We used like a radius, a slightly wider radius, and there were less compressions. So it meant that you could really carry a lot of speed onto that first flat section before you drop into Gary's house, which is the first section through the window.
Was that a black left-hander?
No, it was actually it was a black left-hander, but it was at the end of the lily pad straight. Okay. So that carried loads of speed, and then there was that was Red Bull branded, and then there was another black left-hander into Gary's house, which is just like you just have to get riders into the house. It's so narrow, and
one of them looks so ridiculously fast.
Yeah,
I mean they're all ridiculous.
First left was insane.
It was super banked, and you could see that people were really coming off it, just like woof.
Yeah, it was insane. We like used radius. We just got really good this year, and we made it really nice. And there were no compressions.
That's the feature's called radius.
No, the radius of the turn.
Radius of the turn.
The radius of the turn was really nice, and it pinged you out in the right direction. I mean, all of the stuff you don't see is
because that's the thing. Shocking. You could build something which pings someone into a wall.
Yeah, yeah. And walls, there are many.
Yes.
So like even on the landing of that, there's like a concrete block that you could just going at the pace that those boys are going at, like it would be awful to hit the concrete block, and it's right there on the landing. So there's loads of things. I think the annoying thing about street racing is until you're actually there, you don't necessarily see exactly how dangerous it is and the pace that they're going at, and it is really insane. Like I know, like downhill is insane. You've got trees everywhere and stuff, but this is a lot of hard edges. It's high risk stuff, and it makes it all the more impressive when you see the pace they go at. Yeah, especially the sharp end. Yeah, it's really something to behold. Yeah,
I mean, even watching it, and again, this is no discredit to anyone, because even a Jono coming down there and the pace he did is insane. It's fascinating. It's wild, but there is a noticeable jump around the point at the end around 5th and 6th. It's just like, fuck, these guys are hauling.
And it's very cool that majority of the pointy end is from Central and South America. Yeah, it's very cool that they practice for these exact events. I love it for them. I love the energy they bring into it is insane. Like it's, I'm saying insane too much. Don't you hate it when you have a word that you're saying
like
too
an
much?
extreme sports thing, like we're just like wild.
I don't mean, it's like a
guys,
YouTube. It's really like a YouTube clickbait thing, isn't it? But it is really, the energy they bring in is really cool. Yeah. I mean, if you watch one for at the top before a run, one for Valles, the winner, we'll go through the results, but if you watch him at the top, you can see it means something. You can see he's dropping in.
We're in.
He's not holding back. This is a race run, dude. This isn't This isn't, I need to pace myself. This is absolutely on the edge the whole way down. I know what I'm going to do. I've been going flat out down this track ever since I got here. This means something, and I think that's something that I think comes across in street racing. I think it's pretty special and unique for me anyway.
They chipped a lot of time off, like practice times too. Yeah, qualifying times.
Yeah, and qualifying was absurd as well. So yeah. So you go through Gary's drop, and you're right. The next big feature that we changed was the containers. It was a good way of going across the flat section with a bit more speed.
Okay.
Those steps are amazing. They're so cool to watch. And the container was pretty scary. Like, we did our best to make it as safe as possible, but obviously containers are 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
And you've got a 6 foot bloke on a bike hurtling down some stairs into it with a compression before. So our job was to make the running into it as safe as possible. And it was borderline, honestly, because if you bucked, it would be game over. You can't touch the container. It's very scary. Like, what the team there do so well is we talk about it with everyone on the track walk. It's like, this is a dangerous area. You have to... It's funny because you don't really get that in like a World Cup. If there was a tree overhead, no one would talk about it. But the fact that we've put the container there, it's on the track and it's low. Yeah, you have to sort of like address it. You have to be like, guys...
You do the track walks then and you talk to people... through what you feel.
I put a YouTube up of me testing.
Link below.
Yeah, it actually wasn't it was largely just for riders, because when they arrive, it really is helpful for them to see each feature be tested. Nice. And I test things. I can't do a top to bottom run because the logistics involved in closing down streets, getting dogs out of the way, people out of the way, it's too much. Yeah. But I can test each feature. Yeah. And I tend to do like sort of 3 runs on every feature, 4 runs. We don't really have a lot of time, but I do 4. My 4th run will be, I'll try and up pace a little bit and sort of see if you want to see if everything moves. We'll have like one person stationed behind the obstacle, making sure it's not like too much movement. Right. It's funny, like you get all tuned into like vibrations. If anything moves a tiny bit, all it's doing is like, there's a screw in there that's just doing that. And like, do you remember when you were a kid and you got a staple and you just bend it until it breaks? It's just doing that, really. Right. So you have to be quite on it with making sure everything's going to last a live feed. Because if it went wrong, it would be our fault. So that's what we're aiming for. Right. For it to last a live feed.
There's a lot of stuff, like wood that's screwed into the floor so that doesn't slip out, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. But it's like, I'm sure there's people... The problem is you have to build at such a pace and you have to make sure it survives the live feed. You can't do a methodical, clean job. You can't do nice carpentry. You can't bird's mouth joints. You have to get it done. Yeah. So there are joints that are relying on screws, which isn't ideal. You want timber to go like this. You don't want it to be side by side, but we have to, just because we can't. We literally can't. You screw it together, cut off the tops. It's that kind of thing. So we need everything to be as strong as possible.
As we're going down the course now, is this how you build it? Do you start at the top and just
Not necessarily, no, because we have a number of road closures, and we can't just like we get there 2 weeks before, so we can't just close a residential street for a whole 2 weeks. Okay. So it makes it very difficult. That aspect is the hardest thing. That's the thing over the years we've struggled the most, because you can have a job that is quite big, but you can't, like the jumps at the end, they're in the centre of the town. You can't just shut down the whole town centre. So therefore we've got ramps that need to come in and out. Okay. So the lily pad had to come in and out. All of the wall rides had to have doorways in. This is all stuff you don't think about. Wow. People have to get to their houses, yeah. Okay. So the same with Gary's drop. That ladder you couldn't just block the path. People walk all the way up. Right. With their shopping, to their house. So, so we like the work ramps up at the end of the week with things that we need to fix.
Okay.
And like...
You've like built it, but then you fix it into place for the actual event.
For practice, then it has to come out after. Right. Then for quali, it has to go back in again. It's a lot. It is a lot that you don't see.
No wonder you sound a bit croaky.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
your voice tired.
Yeah. So we're at Gary's. Now we've gone through the container, then we're onto the wall rides. Yeah. The wall rides stayed approximately the same as last year.
what I liked about the wall ride from a viewer's perspective, love the fact that there's just a thing you have to do.
Yeah.
Quite cool.
Very cool, isn't it?
Tires have
There's
to
a lot
touch
of
the wall.
unique elements to street
I like
racing,
that.
and that is
I'm
cool,
into
isn't
that.
it? Yeah. And I don't know if you saw, but on the wall ride itself, there were phones. It was like sponsored by a phone company.
Yes.
And it was like the tyres went over the phones, and then on the landing it said indestructible. And
Yeah, okay. I didn't
there's
pick
all
up
these
on
little
it, but
things.
yeah, that's
I
nice.
love that as well about street racing, that they're like sponsored features.
That's cool.
Very
Really
cool, yeah.
Yeah. But I like I was trying to think while I was watching the broadcast, like how could that be used in downhill, like traditional downhill? Like you have to do, like you have to go a certain way or you have to pick a certain line. I don't know. But I thought it was neat. It's just cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It gave like Rob and Elliot something as well. They were like, "Oh, did his tires touch the wall?" It was dead good.
We slowed it down before that wall ride. We made the jump purposefully too small because it was like, if you give people unlimited speed into that down that run in,
that's why some people were over jumping it.
Yeah, exactly. It's on a turn, and we like thought about putting chicanes in after, but instead we just made the jump a bit smaller,
right,
and a bit more awkward.
Yeah,
because you know that is, you run a fine line if you're making a track between, like, you could make it for only the top three, and you could probably crank everything back a little bit, but you can't really do that. No. And a racetrack's all about like, some things you have to squash. That's how it is. So
this is what as well. While I was watching the broadcast, I was thinking, it's like, where is time made up?
Yeah,
because it's not. I mean, maybe I'm off. It's pretty much a one line course.
Yeah, we had a couple of. I mean, there's a couple of sections that there were options.
Okay.
Like the container actually originally had a step in the middle of the landing, and then we ended up chipping off the step. But when it had a step, that would have been a 2-line option,
right?
And you would have had to be you would have had to be really crazy to jump to the outside,
okay,
because you'd be so close to the container, but it would have given you a time advantage,
right?
But then you say that, but then the time differences were there, so people
that's
are finding
where
time.
Where is it made? Like, where is that time?
Yeah, it's hard to say that it's not on the pedals. You see the
interesting.
You see the top boys coming out of that first left, for instance. The power they have in the pedals is very impressive, and there's a few sections of pedaling on the track overall.
Who was it who, you probably know, pedaled down that wall ride?
I don't know, you know.
Who was it? It was
pedaled down the wall ride.
Yeah. Who was it? I wrote it down. Not Bernardo Cruz.
Great to see Bernardo Cruz back at a street race. Huge fan of Bernardo Cruz from the days of the whip off, him winning the whip off, and
Sebastian.
He's a real gent.
Sebastian Hogan.
Oh yeah.
Pedaled down the wall ride.
I mean, you watched it.
It's so sick.
Dude. Watching people ride that track, like especially the top boys. You know, I don't mean to bang on about it, but everyone's very impressive. Everyone's very fast.
Yeah.
You know, let's say what's our 15th place finisher?
Jonathan Jones.
Jono Jones. Obviously, we all know Jono's an amazing rider, very fast. Like, when you watch the boys that train for street racing, you can't deny that it is a different thing. It is like, holy, they're street racers, you know, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the next thing we changed was Frida's. Frida is actually a dog, but it lives in the house. Frida this year looked rabid, like she's going to bite my face off.
Oh, God.
Thankfully, she didn't. She stayed on the roof. But we didn't actually go through a house this year. Last year, it caused a lot of problems. It was like a bit of a bottleneck section.
I remember that section, right?
Yeah, you jumped out
They
the
had
window.
the TV playing.
Yeah.
Was it that one? They had TV playing inside it.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah. But it was really tight, and you jumped out. I mean, I quite like those bottleneck sections on tracks. Okay. I wasn't like mad at last year's. It did have a lot of crashes, which isn't good for business. You don't really want that. But like, I quite like where you have to brake. I think that's quite a cool part of a track. You speak to the racers, they just want to go faster and faster and faster. But I quite like bits that I actually think they're separators.
Okay.
Braking points. So for instance,
like
if you've got to jump out of a window or a scrub, you know, a stall wall or which you don't really see stall walls in moto anymore, do you?
No.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, but anyway, so that was canned, and we went around and through Frida's garden instead. So that involved like a 90-degree wall ride with a gap onto a landing, and then like a small section of dirt and kind of a lily pad down onto the road.
Okay.
that was really cool. Like the wall ride landing, a lot of people cased. So that's another example of like separators. It's like a feature that separates people out. Like they were, so we only saw 15 people on the broadcast, but there were actually a lot more racing in qualifying.
Yeah.
A lot of them cased the wall ride. So that's
mainly South American. Because I'm not too sure who else was there other than what I saw in the broadcast.
No, there's a good mix.
Yeah,
good mix. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, like that. I could go on about this for ages, but before finals, I got sent a video at like 11, 12 at night or something, and a car had driven into that landing, and the landing was just wrecked. The one off after Frida's house.
Okay.
So then, you have to go back and do all these repairs. And like that happened throughout the 2 weeks. You have to like repair the things that you have built just because people are still living their lives. They're walking up and down them and motorbikes are going over them. And yeah. So we had to do a full rebuild of that landing, move it back into place. We would spray on the ground where everything is so that you can, so that when it gets smashed or broken, you can put it back where it is. Yeah. Then you're into Slavic stairs. Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Shall I go through the whole course? Yeah.
Yeah. Slavic stairs. Why Slavic stairs?
Because he crashed there last year.
Yeah, of course.
Huge crash, but only a man like Thomas Slavic can survive.
He was, again, for a viewer, one of those ones where you just like, holy, he is an operator.
Mate, he's insane.
Pumping stuff. Just like...
made for it. He's up for it. He's really impressive.
Yeah.
Really impressive. So he rounded out the podium in third. It was really good to see him on the podium because last race, Valparaiso, he snapped his chain out the gate, which is really gutting. I swear I've seen him do it before as well. He's got 2,300 watts going through those legs.
He's operator.
Yeah. So he was actually, interestingly, he was like the highest ranked enduro bike.
Obviously,
last year was won by
you.
Camilo Sanchez on an enduro bike.
Right.
I was on a trail/enduro bike on my Jam, and I can tell you it's pretty bumpy out there, I'll be honest. So I find it really interesting that because there are pedal sections and you do make up time on them, but clearly not enough. For made it through the pedal sections.
Homie was on what looked like an e-bike. Who was that?
Bernardo was, yeah.
Obviously,
and Fishback was last race Valparaiso. He was on an e-bike as well. They'd take out the battery.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, interesting, eh?
Yeah. If you could choose one bike, which one would you do it on?
Do any of them bring two? I've ridden everything on the trail bike. I would probably pick a downhill bike. Like it's rough. The steps are rough.
Yeah.
And if you sacrifice a tiny bit of pedaling, clearly Wanford didn't. Clearly Sebastian didn't. Then
we're jumping all over here. I know we're still doing the course rundown.
No, I like it.
But riders make changes to the bikes. Do you to test features? Is there anything you do to the Focus Jam?
Yeah,
that's right. The Focus Jam, everyone. The spring deals are on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So that's 150 mil of travel.
Yeah.
Unlike this van that we have in the background, it's actually 130, I think. But my 150 is not a sensible amount probably to use on a street race course. But I would usually pump up my suspension quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I just skim the top of the steps just to make it.
Okay.
It means you have to go a bit quicker to make it less harsh, but it is easier to go quicker. But because I couldn't really hold on that well, I wasn't entirely sure how much I could hold on. I actually ran softer this year and it makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, I bet.
Way harder.
Tyre pressures?
I don't go anywhere near what those boys do.
They're pumping up.
Why? Yeah.
Dirt jump.
I got 40 in the back, 35 in the front. And then in my suspension, I just ran my... I don't know if I ran my rear that much lower, but my front I ran lower, and it meant it... Honestly, my suspension was like packing up. If I tried to pump down stairs, it honestly feels like you're going slower.
Okay.
You pump more, like you put more in, and you get less out. Whereas if you have like a fork that's sitting on top. So if you watch Top Boys, bikes are very hard. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. A lot of them were like square, especially when you looked at some of the footage from like
Adrian,
behind. Yeah.
They're on. Whoa.
I know.
That's one of the coolest street race clips. If you know how quick they're coming through that section, how narrow it is, how steep it is.
Yeah.
It makes it all the wilder. That is a clip, dude. We've got to put that. We have to put that in. That is insane. Drifting around a turn. So
sick.
But basically every step has like a trowel line. They're all concrete and it has like a trowel line, you know, where you finish off the step.
Yeah.
And that's very slippery.
Right.
So the only bit that wasn't is the colourful steps where they put Comex paint on it.
Yeah.
Which is actually a sponsor of that whole section, but it's like grip paint.
Right.
So you still see people like chatter along just because they're in the air half the time, but the rest of the steps are so slippery. Like that Laurent clip's cool.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
it.
Yeah, it is good.
Okay, carry on down the course. Sorry,
Carry on down the course. We've got another flat pedally section. There's a little bit after that Slavic steps. There's another little bit of a flat pedally section. Well, it's still actually downhill, but flat compared to the rest of the course. Then you've got the section where the drone was coming through, and it was pretty obvious that you needed to be clipped in for that. I would say. I think everyone was clipped in, but
really, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't even look or notice actually who wasn't.
Okay,
who
yeah,
wasn't
no,
clipped in.
I didn't really either. You just
Obviously you don't.
racing. Yeah, but I don't have to go down there too quick,
True.
so we're all right. I just got to test it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that comes out onto the final straight, where we had the jumps.
Okay.
Yeah. And the jumps were cool.
Same as last year?
So last year I tested it at, I think it was, I can't exactly remember, but I tested it at way bigger.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really factor in, how tired you are at the bottom of the course. So then we moved it in. And this year we started with it moved in and people felt it was too small. But then
the first of the two looked steeper and like...
No, it wasn't. They're actually really quite slack. There's something about it that makes it, because it's made out of wood and stuff, it makes it look steep, but it's really not steep. Yeah. No, they've got a 6.5 meter radius and they're 7 foot tall.
Right.
So it's really like pretty chill.
Okay.
Bear in mind, like probably a slope style ramp's got like maybe it depends. Who knows what they have at Joyride, but like a one that you might ride in a bike park might be like 8 foot tall with a 4 meter radius, way steeper.
Okay.
So that's just the circle you draw.
Yeah.
So you just get a bit of string to make them. You just get a bit of string and draw the radius. That's all it is. A ramp. And then make the top flat.
Okay. Well, there you go.
That's the shape of a ramp.
That's the shape of the ramp.
Yeah.
Lad science, but not really. Actual science.
Actual science.
Actual science.
Numbers. Yeah. I got a crazy book with all the measurements of everything, and we've changed and moved around over the years. 6.5 meters or 6 3/4 meters is what we always used when they do racing and a free ride event.
Okay.
And maybe we'll change it next year. I like the jumps because you see people scrub and then you also see people pull up, which I think is cool.
Yeah, for sure. So already we're talking next year. So we're locked in for next year already, or what?
No, never locked in. Never locked in. But fingers crossed. I'd love to go back always.
Yeah.
Hey man, what an episode that was. You did amazing in it.
And so did you.
You shone like a star.
You shone like a moon.
I shone like a Focus spring deal.
Oh,
yeah, that's
beautiful
good.
transition.
Right, I've got a question for you, David, to kick this final advert off.
Yeah.
What would you do with up to 400 euros if you got it back when buying a bike?
Ooh, I could stay in the bike shop and spend my 400 euros on accessories.
Good point. Support your local bike shop. Great point.
I could take the 400 euros and go to another shop close by, maybe buy 400 euros of pasta, maybe go to the Euro store, get 400 euros and just... That's Christmas done for eternity.
True.
Just keep handing them out every year.
Lottery tickets.
Yeah, beans.
Tyres.
Chamois
cream.
A new pet.
A new pet. Perhaps a water dragon or an iguana. Yeah. Lovely idea. Well, Focus are actually making that question a reality.
Nice.
Because with the Focus spring deals, you can grab up to 400 euros back when buying a new bike. If you want to find out more, check out the terms and conditions and all of the details in the link. We're going to put that below, and I'm also going to read it out.
Please.
Okay, you ready for me to read it out?
Yes, I'm.
This is old school, innit? Reading out links.
Yeah, anticipation.
I'm going to do it anyway.
Please do it.
I'm doing it.
I want the deal.
Ride.focus.bikes/spring deals TRC.
Ooh, nice. So that is ride.focus.bikes/spring deals TRC, and let us know in the comments what you would do with 400 euros. Best answer wins a signed ODub hat.
Oh, I like it. Good.
All right.
I've got hats. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm good for that.
Okay.
Hey, can we also put something up here that you can click on for the next episode?
How about we put a subscribe up there in the middle?
Yeah, love
We're going to put a video we think that our lovely companionship will love on your face.
On my face?
Yeah.
So they can't see me now?
gone. And on my face, another video that we think people will love. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please hit like and subscribe. You guys are the best.
Peace and love.